the most infamous killer in history. Ed Gein, though, in the heart of the American Midwest, hidden in an apparently quiet little town, lived a man whose name would echo through generations, not for deeds of honor, but for unspeakable horrors. His name was Ed Gein. Known as the Butcher of Plainfield, he would become one of the most disturbing killers in history. A shy, lonely man, almost harmless in appearance. But behind his empty eyes lurked a mind consumed by madness, obsession, and a sick desire to possess his own mother. This is not just the story of a murderer. Here it is the true account that inspired the greatest monsters of cinema, Norman Bates, Leatherface, and Buffalo Bill. Prepare yourself. Because tonight we enter the dark and grotesque life of Ed Gein, the man who turned death into a macabre form of art. His 6 days, childhood, and the controlling mother. Gein was born in 1906 on an isolated farm in Plainfield, Wisconsin. His father, George, was an alcoholic and abusive man, but his mother, Ed Gein, was the true center of his existence. Augusta was a religious fanatic who preached daily against the sins of the flesh. She told Ed and his brother that all women, except herself, were filthy, sinful, and servants of the devil. At school, Ed was shy and withdrawn. He struggled to make friends. He was often bullied, but when he tried to tell his mother, she would scold him. Augusta didn't want him to have friends. She believed the world was full of sin and kept Ed under her absolute control. Thus, he grew up isolated without contact with the outside world, learning only 2 things: hatred toward women and unconditional devotion to his mother, Estenta. The mother's death and the collapse in 1940, Ed's father died. He and his brother supported the farm with small jobs, but 5 years later, another tragedy would destroy his fragile world: Augusta's death. For Ed, losing his mother was like losing the ground beneath his feet. She was his guide, his only true human bond. Without her, he fell into endless loneliness. Instead of moving on, Ed sank deeper. He kept his mother's rooms intact as if they were a shrine. The rest of the house turned into chaos, dirty, filled with old newspapers and broken objects. And it was in this darkness that Ed began to spiral into grotesque fantasies. Obsessed with books about anatomy, the occult, and even Nazi experiments, he began to wonder, could it be possible to bring his mother back? At 17, the beginning of the crimes, Ed started visiting cemeteries at night. Armed with tools, he exhumed the corpses of women who resembled his mother. He took parts of the bodies home, and from them crafted grotesque objects. Police would later discover an unimaginable collection: masks made of human skin, chairs upholstered with flesh, bowls made from skulls, a belt crafted with nipples, even a full woman's suit made of human skin. Ed wore this suit. He wanted to become his mother. He literally wanted to wear her skin, but soon grave robbing wasn't enough. In 1954, the first known victim disappeared: Mary Hogan, the owner of a tavern. 3 years later, in 1957, came Bernice Warden, the local hardware store owner. It was her disappearance that finally led police straight to Ed Gein's farm. 22. The House of Horrors. In November 1957, police entered Ed Gein's farmhouse. What they found inside would never be forgotten. The body of Bernice Warden was discovered decapitated and hung like game in a slaughterhouse. Scattered throughout the house were skulls, organs, masks, and furniture made from human remains. It was a true chamber of horrors, a museum of death. The press called Ed the Butcher of Plainfield. The local community was shocked. That quiet, almost harmless man was, in reality, one of the greatest monsters in American history. Mount is 25. The trial and commitment Ed Gein was immediately arrested. During interrogations, he confessed to the murders and admitted to exhuming dozens of corpses. In court, doctors testified that he suffered from schizophrenia and severe personality disorders. He was declared legally insane, and instead of prison, He was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Ed spent the rest of his life behind white walls until his death in 1984 from respiratory failure. 28. Legacy in pop culture. Ed Gein's story spread across the world. His crimes directly inspired some of the most iconic horror characters. Norman Bates in Psycho, Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Buffalo Bill in The Silence of the Lambs. Ed did more than commit crimes. He redefined horror itself. He showed that the scariest monsters are not those on the screen, but the ones who live quietly among us. The neighbor, the ordinary man next door, born 30. Conclusion: Ed Gein remains one of the most infamous killers in history. His life and crimes prove how far the human mind can go when consumed by obsession, loneliness, and madness. But perhaps the most disturbing fact is this: despite everything he did, many locals who knew him described him as gentle, which leaves us with one final reflection. What is truly more terrifying, the monsters of fiction, or the monsters who walk among us, wearing ordinary faces, hiding unimaginable secrets?